Welcome to People Are the Point. I'm your host, Mark Concannon. Let's talk about the people. I'm your host, Mark Concannon, for the podcast, People Are the Point. Today, I'll have Sheri Peifer joining me. Sheri is president and CEO of Eskaton. It's an organization based out of the Sacramento, California area that serves seniors through independent living, assisted living, memory care, and a full suite of other senior living services. Sheri recently took the reins of Eskaton, managing an organization of over 1,700 employees, serving tens of thousands of residents. Additionally, Sheri contributes to the senior living industry as chair of the Leading Age California board. She's also a wife and a mother of 3 boys quickly advancing towards adulthood. Sheri is a joy to be around. With a quick smile, a light spirit, and a positive view of even the most challenging situations. I am thankful for the opportunity that I and my firm had to serve her and her leadership in the past, and very much enjoyed this short talk we had about life, the senior living industry, and the tie between her work and the people that are important in her life. I hope you can feel some of the infectious nature of her positive life view in this talk. Please enjoy.
Pleasure.
I think you're in sunny Sacramento today?
Yes, I'm in Northern California. It's a little overcast, but we're very happy that spring is on its way, we hope.
Yes, we're hoping for that too. I'm down in Pensacola, Florida today, and we're seeing rainstorms that are more spring-like than winter-like. So we're feeling good about it too.
That's great. That's great.
Well, you recently took over as CEO of Eskaton. Maybe in your own words, talk to me a little bit about the organization and some of the challenges you've seen in the last few months as you've taken over the reins of this great organization.
Sure. Thank you, Mark. Yes, so Eskaton as an organization, it's a nonprofit senior living and service organization in Northern California. We're 55 years old as an organization, and I've been with them for 18 years, coming up the strategic planning and development side. And then, as you mentioned, was just recently promoted to president and CEO September 1st of 2023. And the Eskaton truly was at an inflection point when I took over the reins here. And what that means is we just sold 3 of our large standalone skilled nursing communities. So about a third of our business, our top line revenue, was transitioned out of the organization. And then the board also wanted to look forward to more of a residential home and community based portfolio going forward. And so with my strategic planning background and focus on innovation, that's what I bring to the organization, is in these pivotal times, ensuring that the team is aligned, the culture is a healthy, progressive culture, and bringing forth new ways that we can serve the older adults aging in the community. So that's something that I think Eskaton is perfectly designed for. We haven't had what I would call stagnancy in our portfolio over time. We've sold, we've grown, we've managed, we've affiliated, disaffiliated. So there's a lot of nimbleness in our history, and it's nothing like the present. We have to respond to the landscape economically, and then also, in terms of the market and the shifts that we're all experiencing as business leaders.
And that's a good point. As you came into the organization, and while there was a lot of strength, and to your point, a deep history of success in a lot of ways as a nonprofit chasing a mission, making sure that you watch after margins, what were some of the changes that you were looking to accomplish with the new culture and the new organization?
Yes. So one of the things that we had not implemented, in my opinion, in a timely way, is true digitization of the back end systems of the organization. We're a very people forward service. So we focused a lot on, training of our frontline team members, but we didn't really attack the back end, meaning efficiency, moving from paper to digital tools, for example. And I'm very glad to say, just since, I think it's been 4.5 months now since I've been leading at Eskaton, we have truly ripped off the Band-Aid and are implementing an integrated digital system, an electronic health record, medication record, CRM, a POS system. So all of those components are going to strengthen the back-end system of the organization in terms of its integration. And then also, one of the primary pieces is giving a more personalized experience to the residents we serve, and then the efficiency components around how the team members utilize the tools, making sure that we're reducing redundancies, for example, or ensuring that we're timely and proactive in our interventions versus being reactive looking historically. So I think those are the components that I'm very excited about. They're painful for the organization because I think we're on the cusp. We just had our first go live last Friday, and we had at our one community, and then we have 10 more communities that we'll be bringing online in the next 4 months. So, it's a part where I love pushing the team, because in some ways, when you force collaboration and problem solving, on the other end comes a stronger relationship within the team, higher modes of communication and understanding. So to me, that is a definite move and positive step forward.
That's good. And so I think I'm hearing a lot of, let's call it, digital transformation as the focus coming up. Are there any key items you'd advise someone else consider? So, because in your industry, absolutely having conversations, there are many people that are going through this same type of activity or preparing to. Is there any key words of advice you'd give them for how to prepare for that change?
Yes, there is. One of our lessons learned, and this happened last summer, is we did an evaluation, thanks to Concannon Business Consulting. We did an evaluation of our central support system and identified, gaps, things that were not as fluid as they need to be. And so having an evaluation done is critical, in my opinion, by a third party who understands systems and progressive digital tools, for example, but also the importance of establishing a project management office. And that, to us, for example, we took one person who is the head of our capital asset projects. That team would manage 150 projects at any one time. And so they were very astute to the process of project management. We added this component because we sold the 3 skills. This person had more bandwidth. So we were able to leverage that internal talent and then collaboratively work with the subject matter experts together, clinical subject matter expert, finance, etc., to bring forth what I would call, we call it MAPS: mobilize, accelerate, personalize, and simplify. That's our acronym for this project. And it's really brought together a solidifying of the team from various disciplines and perspectives, and executing on something that's an integrated vision is critical. And so that has been, I think, a strength. And I would recommend other organizations to consider creating that, what I would call the outside PMO office, because they can really drive from the top level, working with the different SMEs towards that vision and execution, frankly.
And it sounds like that was a really good skill transfer of somebody who's already doing something like it in a dedicated silo, for lack of a better word, and now moving them out to where they covered a broad range. It sounds like that transfer went well. That's great.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, the other thing I want to bring up that is a huge focus of the organization is upskilling and training our team members. And so we were able to receive a $3.2 million grant last summer from the California Department of Aging to enhance our workforce training and education. We launched the Eskaton Academy. And what that is a core competency training. So all of the Department of Social Service required trainings for our communities are embedded in this in-person as well as virtual experience. And that has brought forth a higher level of understanding from our team members on what we're doing, why we're doing that, and the importance of their role in fulfilling those different requirements. And I think what I see moving forward is leveraging the Eskaton Academy more so through the back end of our learning management system, is putting all of our trainings into the academy, whether they be risk management, all of the California required trainings, which there are a bunch annually that we need to do. So all of those types of trainings can be accessed in one academy portal. And so again, refining, looking from the outside in, what is the experience of an end user, whether it be an employee, a supervisor, someone's coming, just being onboarded. How do I ensure that they're getting their trainings timely and that they're engaged? How do we keep track of that in the back end? So having the systems connect and talk to our human resource information system. So all of those pieces together allow for the experience of a team member, a supervisor, to be more streamlined and easy, because we work in a complex field. And so the more we can create simplicity and intuitive tools to do so, that's what we need to do.
I think I hear you saying a little bit of, back to the culture conversation, a piece of what's, may have existed at some level, has become a focus, is the experience, whether it be a resident or whether it be an employee. It's thinking heavily about that experience for the individual in whatever they're touching or how you're touching them.
Mark, the importance of spending time listening and asking questions with our residents, with our families, with prospects, with team members. It's so important to listen and understand what's going on. Certainly in a post-pandemic world where things have changed, beliefs have changed, the way people access service and experience service today is truly different. Everything's on, you can order anything you want with a simple touch of a button that's delivered in 2 hours, for example. So that type of experience, we in the senior living and service field need to understand. We also need to understand that we need to begin unbundling our services to give more choice, flexibility, and control to the individual. And that's something that is not easy to do because we have, fixed costs as a business, especially a very people forward business. We aren't, unfortunately, a hybrid or a virtual service. We are a hands-on business. And so
in person. Right
in
there.
person. And so we have to attract and create experiences that edify people in that design, if you will.
I think it's what you're speaking to is how people are so central. So obviously the point of this podcast is that people are the point is kind of my thought on business. Yes. So often, and we yes. often lose track of, I know on the enterprise side, it becomes dollars and cents and numbers and not people as much. You don't have the luxury to think that way in your industry. And I'm hearing you say that's a piece of maybe the culture shift is getting to a spot where every individual and their interaction with your organization, whether it be employee or resident, has to be thought through. As CEO, are you finding that's a challenge, or is it something that people are welcoming and willing to be patient to work through the process to get it right?
That's a great question, Mark. I'd say on the employee side of the house, we have employees that are high school students working in our culinary dining areas, and we have people who are in their 70s working in a variety of positions. So we have so many different generations of experience amongst our teams. I actually just learned recently that we have 73% of our workforce are females, and which was interesting, and 82% of our executive directors are females, which I thought was fascinating statistic, thinking of its Women's Month this March. And with that, though, comes compounding challenges around childcare, flexibility. How do you balance out the natural, impacts of raising families and supporting your family through having full-time in-person work? And so there are things that I think we have to continually learn and understand. As an organization, you can't think, oh, I got that. Oh, I understand that. All my employees are the same. Yeah, that's not true. So it's really segmenting and understanding, okay, what does the experience look like through the high schooler's eyes to come in, and how can we best train people to be confidently, entering into relationship with residents, and are they feeling empowered? The tools, the digital tools, for example, we're just rolling out, as I mentioned, this new integrated health record system. What we're finding is we need a little more upskilling at the frontline side, because we have digital point of care tools. So they're walking around with mini iPads, documenting their support services that they're providing. And some, it's very intuitive, but for many, it's like, you hired me for my hands and my heart. Now you're asking me to pick up an iPad, and start documenting. So we have to be patient. And I think that's honestly where, if you want to have a workforce that is what I call sticky, they want to come back, there's retention, there's high engagement and satisfaction, you also have to partner and walk alongside where people are at today and bring them forward in strengthening those skills. So that's an aha, I think, from our organization as we roll out additional tools that we in our minds on the back end are like, oh my goodness, this is fabulous. Of course we would do this. But then you have to look through it through the lens of, a frontline caregiver and how that experience is for them.
Sure. Makes sense. Well, I also want to get a little bit into, what crafted Sheri, the CEO, right, of how you ended up in this spot, built to this point in your life. Going back, you said you've been with Eskaton about 18 years. Is that what brought you to Sacramento originally, or were you already in the area?
Yes, so I grew up outside of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and my parents actually still live there. And so I spent a lot of time on airplanes. And so my husband and I moved out to California and in 2005, and that's where we have been raising our family. We have 3 boys. And the part about Sheri, how did she get into this field? I believe, honestly, when I was young, I was called to work with older adults. I loved being around older adults. I was often every summer with my grandparents, just living with them because I enjoyed their company, and we just did many things together. So I had very positive influences in my life. My neighbors growing up were older adults, and after school I would run over and learn how to crochet and so I had, many people said I had an old soul. And I always thought, well, what does that mean? But that's part of, I just gravitated toward older adults and understanding what makes a fulfilling aging experience. And to me, that's what I do even today. It's drawing upon what brings purpose, a sense of community, connection, generativity. So my background has been working in for-profits, nonprofits, for the government, the Department of Aging. I've worked in California Department of Aging. I have that type of varied experience prior to joining Eskaton. And I think too, recognizing I have schooling, which is in gerontology and education, my master's degree, and that has helped me shape an understanding of kind of the social science side of aging. And many times in this country, unfortunately, we come, to the table with very deep stereotypes, ageist attitudes or belief systems of decline and fear and loss. But what Eskaton truly stands for, our name Eskaton, is a dawning of a new age. And what that really means is there is something on the horizon for us continually to learn, to grow, to develop, to contribute. And so something we work on is telling the stories of the people that are within our service structure, and we call it Age is Beautiful. And sometimes they're like, what are you talking about? There's a multi-billion-dollar anti-aging entity over here. But what we want to leverage is that aging is normal, and we should accept our aging experience and learn to live with our aging experience to the fullest extent possible. And that's my baton here at Eskaton, is truly to bring forth ways in which we can do that, conversations and discussions on how to bring that forward. And it's not accounting for the situations that people do have in terms of, managing chronic conditions, dealing with cognitive change. So how do we learn to live with these changes in a way that is not diminishing or shameful? And so that's really where we are, again, as an organization that's a community-based organization. I feel strongly that we have to be the baton of education and engagement in that sphere.
Interesting. And that makes me think about, I recently was listening to an interview with Bill Ackman, major recognized investor in the marketplace, and he made a reference to having been involved in nonprofits and being involved in for-profits. And his position was that he kind of learned the hard way that his belief, a for-profit solution to even a social problem, is a more manageable and, quote, better way to go in his mind. Yet obviously you run a not-for-profit organization and there are significant advantages. What are your thoughts there? Do you feel like there's any disadvantages, or do you think there's real strength in being a not-for-profit for things like truly attracting best and brightest that are passionate about the space? What are your thoughts?
That's such a great question, Mark, because I have deep respect for many of my for-profit peers. And honestly, nonprofits learn from the for-profit field in terms of efficiency, ensuring that we have strong margins. And, it's not just about giving away the farm. You have to operate a very strong business with business principles. You have to be performance oriented and accountable. Many times, unfortunately, there are nonprofits that are extremely strong and disciplined, and then there's nonprofits that aren't. Same with for-profits. There's wonderful for-profits, and then others that perhaps may not have the right aligned mission and impact. So I always see it as there's something to learn from each entity. And for myself at Eskaton, I want to marry the business disciplines to maximize how much impact and mission we can expand upon based on our success.
Yeah, that's good. Well, I know we're getting close to end of time, so I think last question I wanted to say was, is there any, last key insights you'd want to share with the audience about your organization or the senior living space?
Sure. We just recently, Eskaton just recently got out of our strategic planning retreat last week. And so that spawned a true vision forward, recognizing the demographics are continuing to expand, it, and yet recognizing also that there is an opportunity to create more choice and openness of housing and service opportunities for middle income individuals. So I just give a challenge to the audience that there is such opportunity to collaborate and innovate in that space, in the middle market space. And so for us, Eskaton, we are looking forward to not only identifying partners, for example, in the home and community based realm, so that we can do wraparound services more effectively, but also create housing opportunities where, perhaps we have more rental models available, and that open up opportunities for people to access the community living experience that they desire. So again, affordability is incredibly important as we move into the next decade serving older adults, and ensuring that we're providing the flexibility that is needed to age well.
That's a really good point. So much of the aging process on the resident side is the challenge of loneliness and isolation that being part of a community can really help address. So getting
Exactly.
accessibility is huge. Well,
Yeah.
Sheri, I really appreciate your time today. Thank you very much
Thank you.
for being part of the podcast, and
Thank you so
look
much.
forward to catching up again soon.
Yes, thank you so much, Mark. Pleasure to be here.